Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is our Themeless Thursday. We're talking about updates on the earthquake. I'm going to be focusing all on the far right in Europe because that was what's in my feed today. So let's go ahead and go over our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. A prominent German far-right figure charged with the second count of using a Nazi slogan.
And why was Taiwan so well prepared for an earthquake?
Some were extremely hostile. How Dutch far-right figure turned to Islam. He turned in Islam.
And we talk about the NCAA tournament some more. The North Carolina State, UConn are both still live in both tournaments. But in the women's tournament, we feature Caitlin Clark and Can Anybody Beat the Cox?
And in more culture news, J.K. Rowling's looking forward to being arrested following Scottish hate crime law changes.
Those stories and more, which is National Burrito Day. April 4, 2024 on Before Coffee.
Okay, welcome. Let's go ahead and cover our first news story coming out of Germany. This is by AP. Prosecutors said Wednesday they have charged one of the most prominent figures in the far-right Alternative for Germany party with a second count of uttering a slogan used by the Nazis' SA stormtroopers at a political event. Now, I believe we talked about this guy back last year, I think probably in September while we were in Berlin. We talked about how this guy was just freely using Nazi slogans and no one thought that was a warning sign. Bjorn Hoek was already scheduled to go on trial in Halle on April 18th. Prosecutors in the eastern city said they would seek to have a new count added to the proceedings. Hoek, 52, is the leader of the regional branch of Alternative for Germany, AFD, in the neighboring state of Thuringia, and an influential figure on the party's hard right. He's not only just far right, he's hard far right. He is set to lead its campaign in a state election set for September 1st. In the case already scheduled for trial, Hoek is charged with using symbols of unconstitutional organizations. He is accused of ending a speech in Merseburg in May 2021 with the words, "Everything for Germany." Prosecutors contend he was aware of the origin of the phrase as a SA slogan. They have said Hoek's lawyers denied that his words had any criminal relevance. Yeah, it's going to be hard to get proof of a crime there when it relies on his knowledge and he can just deny any knowledge of famous SA slogans. In the new case, prosecutors allege that he repeated the offense at an AFD event in Gera in his home state on December 12th last year. It inserted knowledge of the punishability of the slogan. They said in a statement that Hoek and said everything for and encouraged the audience to shout Germany. Hoek hasn't responded to the latest charges, they added. AFD's branch in Thuringia has a particularly radical reputation and is viewed by Germany's domestic intelligence agency as a proven right-wing extremist group. Hoek once called the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin a monument of shame and called for Germany to perform an 180-degree turn on how it remembers its past. Party tribunal at the time rejected a bid to have him expelled, so that he's had so many strikes against him and people are just like, nah, it's fine. National polls in recent months have shown AFD in second place behind the mainstream conservative opposition, and the party is particularly strong in its formerly communist East. Not sure why, that makes no sense, but populism, it's just easy to just blame populism because I don't know what else it is other than that. So hopefully, I don't know what they plan on doing, prosecuting him, he put him in jail. It's really hard to deal with this kind of things because if he's a populist leader, making him suffer in any way will just give him more strength because he can just say, see, they're trying to silence me because I'm right. And then you're like, no, can't counter that argument really. No, we're not trying to silence him. He just broke the law. Yeah, but you made the laws, so you could punish him. So it's really tough how to deal with it. He's basically freely using Nazi propaganda slogans to bolster the excitement from the populace for politics. But that's my story. On to yours.
Yes, it's similar to the gag order they keep issuing against defendant J. Trump. It's like, here's another gag order and another one of your trials. Now don't attack my family. And then Trump goes out and attacks their family anyway. And it's like, what good is the gag order again? Or instead of directly attacking them, he'll post a video that somebody else posted on his bullshit social media site. Yeah. Free speech is only exploited by the criminals, the people that just want to arouse up, discontent over whatever grievance they have, which may or may not exist. They just want power. All right. So why was Taiwan so prepared for an earthquake? This is from Reuters.com. Yimu Lee. When a 7.2 earthquake hit Taiwan's scenic, largely rural or East Coast county of Howlin on Wednesday, local official Chang Yao knew exactly what to do, having experienced a similar trembler 6 years before. Within 2 hours of the quake, which struck before 8 a.m. or midnight Greenwich Mean Time, as people were getting ready for work, Chang said an emergency shelter was arranged at a nearby school where more than 130 residents ended up spending the night. Joined up contact with government departments was key, Chang, a neighborhood chief, the lowest level of official in Taiwan, told Reuters. Since 2018, earthquakes of magnitude 6.4, in which 7 people died, Chang said local authorities have strengthened coordination with government units and non-governmental organizations for disaster response and relief. This time, the county officials and police, along with others who helped evacuate residents in affected areas of downtown Hualien City, worked together to clear one of the damaged buildings before it could collapse in any aftershocks. Everyone is doing their jobs, the county government and the local administrative office together, to minimize the damage as much as possible, Chang said. Why is Taiwan so prone to earthquakes? Taiwan is no stranger to earthquakes, being located near the junction of 2 tectonic plates, and many are concentrated along the picturesque, mainly rural and sparsely populated East Coast. The region is also a major draw for tourists with its rugged mountains and hot spring resorts and tranquil farms. More than 100 people were killed in an earthquake in southern Taiwan in 2016, while a 7.3 magnitude quake killed more than 2,000 people in 1999. The 1999 quake, commonly referred as the 921 earthquake, the 921 quake, as it hit on September 21st, was a spur for the government to revise building codes and strengthen disaster management laws. September 21 is now a designated day for Taiwan-wide disaster drills, and this day, mock alert messages for disasters such as earthquake and tsunami are sent to people's mobile phones, and schools around the island stage evacuation drills. Yet, Tai Yun-fa, a structural engineer who runs Taiwan's Alpha Safe that develops quake-resistant building materials, said that while a tightening of building codes had helped better prepare the island for disasters, some developers were still cutting corners. The focus when it comes to development is still the lowest price, so in that case, you can't have the best quality. In Hualien, Donna Wu, Deputy Director of the county branch of the Mustard Seed Mission, a Christian group, said the response in 2018 had been chaotic and they had learned a lesson. Everyone was doing the same thing. Tasks were not coordinated. This time, each group has different tasks. Taiwan has another compelling reason to ready its response, a potential attack from China, which has been ramping up military and political pressure to try and force Taiwan's democratically elected government to give in to Beijing's sovereignty claims. The earthquake alert system with its piercing alarm sounding on mobile phones is the same one the government will use to warn of an impending Chinese air raid. Taiwan holds its million civil defense drills annually, nominally to focus on natural disasters, though last year it also covered how to respond to the aftermath of Chinese attack as part of those exercises. Taiwan's Ministry of Digital Affairs, which only began operating in 2022 and has been leading the charge to ensure the resilience of communication networks, reporting large, unaffected networks after the largest quake. Largely unaffected networks after the latest quake, especially internet services. Taiwanese cities and counties have rescuers on standby 24 hours a day, ready to respond to a moment's notice to disasters. And less than an hour after the latest quake struck, for example, the government in the southern city of Kaohsiung had mobilized its rescue teams to go to Hulin and sent them to nearby air base in Pingtung to be flown in by the Air Force. Those teams regularly go to other disaster zones around the world, including Turkey when it was hit by a major quake last year, offering a soft power diplomacy for Taiwan, whose government has close to no official diplomatic recognition despite its strong democratic credentials. Sanda Oudkirk, the de facto U.S. ambassador to Taiwan, praised the response to the message the Taiwanese people carried on Facebook. Taiwan has demonstrated a successful model of disaster prevention, disaster management, humanitarian rescue communities around the world, she wrote. Too bad we can't officially say you exist. So, there's your story.
Yeah, it's crazy if you actually put the work in to be prepared. You're prepared for
ambassador.
Things. Yeah.
We have a de facto ambassador at Taiwan because we can't piss off China and say they actually exist as a country. Even though we buy all of our microchips from them.
Yeah, according to my friends yesterday, there's going to be a bit of no graphics cards being made because most of our microchip PCBs are from Taiwan.
According to this, there was almost no disruption, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. So
I'm sure it'll be fine. It's not the end of the world if you don't get a graphics card in the next few weeks or months. People died, Karen. People died.
Yeah. They'll figure out a reason to raise prices. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry. Okay. Next in our news is more far-right coverage here, but this time in the Netherlands, the country I'm currently living in. This is on The Guardian by Ashifa Kassam. He was once Geert Wilders' right-hand man, crafting the Freedom Party, PVV, messaging that described Islam as a lie and pushed for the Quran and mosques to be banned in the Netherlands. 1 decade ago, Joram van Klaveren is a Muslim convert, the second politician from the far-right PVV to convert, and actively working to dismantle the myths he once peddled. The things that I helped them develop are still there. They're still using the tools I gave them, he told The Guardian. I literally hear them say things I made up. His work has taken on renewed importance in recent months as the PVV emerged as the party with the most votes in the Dutch elections, echoing a Europe-wide surge in nativist and populist platforms. I was in anti-Islam politics for altogether 12 years, so I have to counter this narrative for at least 12 years to make it even, so to speak, said the 45-year-old. Raised in a deeply religious Protestant family in Amsterdam, Van Klaveren said his initial wariness of Islam was influenced by his church. Classic. His stance hardened in the wake of the September 11th attacks and the murder of the filmmaker Theo van Gogh by a man who described himself as a jihadist, spurring Van Klaveren to sign up for Wilders' party in 2010. Yeah, I mean, if you just say, oh, yeah, blame them over there for me murdering that guy. Easy. Don't look any deeper. He rose swiftly up to the ranks. I did everything. I tried to ban mosques. I tried to ban the Quran, shut down Islamic schools, forbid the Arabic language in public, he said. Back then, I thought it was a good thing because we were fighting Islam, said his church. Van Klaveren broke with Wilders in 2014 after a rally in which the PVV leader asked supporters they wanted fewer Moroccans in the country. For Van Klaveren, it seemed a step too far. I thought, well, I must leave because now it's becoming an ethnic thing. Indeed, it always does. It always does become an ethnic thing. He set up his own party, but failed to secure a single seat in the national election. He quit politics, instead setting up his sights on finishing a book he had started to write years earlier, envisioning it as an academic tome that would lay bare the threat posed by Islam. He threw himself into the task, but as he learned more about Islam, oh my god, wait for this guy, he found himself intrigued. Wait a minute, if you learn about the things you hate, you might actually find out it's not worth hating. What a concept. Things invented by humans are not evil inherently. Okay, we're all people who practice Islam aren't aliens from a different country, different planet. They're just humans like us, and we all have good and bad ideas. And for the most part, it develops into something good over, I want to say, what? I'm doing really quick maths here right now. I want to say 1,300 years or so. No, that's way too much. Point is, it's been basically 2 millennia. No, 1 millennia since Islam has entered the human consciousness, okay? And I'm sure there's some, like I said, there's bad ideas and good ideas, but thinking the whole thing's bad just because you don't like Moroccans, I guess, is why Geert Wilders was doing it. His interest, however, jarred with his day-to-day job as an evangelical radio station. As he grappled with being simultaneously drawn to Islam and his status as the voice of conservative Christians, he abandoned his book and crammed the many volumes that he had fueled his research onto a bookshelf in his home. He readily admits that what he says came next defies belief. It sounds a little bit like a fairy tale, but it really happened, he said. His heaving bookshelf collapsed, he said, and its contents tumbled on the floor. As he picked up a copy of the Quran that had fallen, he said he glanced at where his finger had landed, and it said in translation, "It's not the eyes that are blind, but the hearts," he said. And I thought, well, yeah, that it really is my problem. In 2019, he went public with his conversion, urged on by a local imam who explained that it was an opportunity to set the record straight. He said, "You have a responsibility as well, because you incited hate in a way," said Van Klaveren. The news made headlines across the country, breaking just as Wilders was live on TV. Reporters piled to the PVV leader with questions. "I didn't see this coming," Wilders said, likening Van Klaveren's decision to a vegetarian going to work in a slaughterhouse. Another who claimed it was Arnold van Doorn, a former Hague-based city councillor, PVV, who converted to Islam in 2013. "I never thought that the PVV would become a breeding ground for converts," Van Doorn wrote on social media at the time. Among Van Klaveren's followers, many of whom had voted for him, there was a deep sense of betrayal. Yeah, he was telling everyone, hate the Islamic people, hate them all, anyone who practices Islam, anything related, hate them. Anyways, I'm gonna go over to my local mosque real quick and do some prayer. Mecca. "Some people were extremely hostile. I got over 2,000 death threats," he said. "It was really extreme. People saying they were going to rape my wife, kill my children, and they sent the address of the school to me so as to intimidate me." Wow. That's what you cooked up. That's the food you cooked. Things have since calmed, allowing Van Klaveren space to contemplate all at once he drew him to the party and how to counter this appeal. In 2020, he joined several others in launching a Muslim-led foundation in the Netherlands to introduce people to the faith and history of Islam. After visiting more than 200 schools, the foundation opened a museum in Rotterdam in June called the Islam Experience Center. The main goal is to take away misconceptions and promote empathy, he said. "When I was in the Freedom Party, we always said Islam is alien to us." Yeah, exactly. They're from a different planet. Islam has nothing to do with Europe. And of course, when you look at Spain, for example, at Andalusia, it is nonsense. Yeah, hello. Anyone remember when the Moors were in Spain? They were there for a while. Also, where do you think we learned algebra from? It was the people in the Arabic region. Are they aliens because they came up with algebra? Also, there's Christians and Islamic people all over the world, all in the same country even. It's completely normal, and only recently has it become much more volatile to be, you're a different religion than me. That means you're basically an alien. We could never relate to each other. Asked whether he felt guilt or regret over his actions during this time with the PVV, Van Claveren said, "Of course I felt ashamed because what I said. I had plans, but Allah is the best of planners and my life took a different direction." Van Claveren estimates that about 12 of the 37 seats won by the PVV in its surge at the last election could be attributed to those who were staunchly opposed to Islam. The rest, he said, were probably a result of voters who had become disillusioned with mainstream parties over their failure to tackle the soaring cost of living, the erosion of the welfare state, and rocketing housing prices. If you really have no money and you see people getting a house that were on a list for 10 years, whether they are immigrants or not, you feel like, I'm just not important enough, said Van Claveren. This is true, actually. On social media, I saw a lot of people in Dutch, which I can read, saying, those immigrants are getting a house before I get a house. But they're not thinking about the fact that everyone is on a wait list for a house. And just you entered the wait list 7 years ago, where that guy entered the wait list 10 years ago, and has nothing to do with them being an immigrant, all to do with them first come, first serve. But anyone will look for a reason to hate other people if they're angry enough about it. But as countries across Europe wrestle in the rise of the far right, he called for people to fight back with mature reactions, citing an incident in the Dutch city of Arnhem, where the leader of the Pegida movement recently held a Quran burning. Muslim groups responded by handing free Qurans to anyone interested. Every time he burns one Quran, we give away 1,000, said Van Claveren. With a laugh, he added, so I don't know if he'll be burning Qurans anymore. Nice counter-protest there. But it's good to hear that some people, and it's not too late for anybody out there, if there's something that fills you with hatred and makes you vehemently angry at other humans for being humans, it's not too late for you to really look inward and outward and discover why you really hate these people or hate a certain thing. Because hate is not good. I know, a simplistic message for me. As somebody who doesn't hate anything, at least I'd like to brag that I don't hate anything. I freely use the word hate, but in a very small way. Filling your heart with hate is only going to cause you pain and no one else.
That's right.
So
nobody feels your hate. Nobody feels your anger.
Nope. Just find out what that is and discover why it fuels your hate so much and break free from your hate. That's my story on the far right for two articles. On to yours. Or I guess onto the sports picks here.
Sorry. Oh no, I got a story first.
Okay, you got a story. Okay.
This is about the slow death of Twitter. And this is from Vox.com from A.W.O. Heiser. Line up a few years worth of tragedies and disasters, and the online conversations about them will reveal their patterns. The same conspiracy theory peddling personalities who spammed X, formerly Twitter, with posts claiming that Tuesday's Baltimore bridge collapse was a deliberate attack, have also called mass shootings false flag events and denied basic facts about the COVID-19 pandemic. A Florida Republican running for Congress blamed DEI for the bridge collapse. Ah, boy. These racist dog whistles.
100% just racist dog whistling.
For the bridge collapse as racist comments about immigration. Yeah, let's attack the immigrants who died on a bridge. Yeah, again, these are right-wing. Twitter, again, has never been of any use, ever. And the people that defend it are just, well, it was once a great source for news. I'm like, no, it's never a great source for news. It was a great source for misinformation about stuff. If you can wade through all of it and find the actual news. I don't know. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott circulated among the far... let's try this again. A Florida Republican running for Congress blamed DEI for the bridge collapse, and racist comments about immigration, and Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott circulated among the far right. Those comments echoed Trump in 19, who called Baltimore a disgusting and rodent-infested mess. I have never thought of Baltimore as that, but I live in Maryland. I do Baltimore a lot. And blame 2015, blame President Obama for the unrest in the city. Oh, okay. A conspiracy theories compete for attention in the wake of tragedy. Others
Come on, Obama. Why didn't you use your
seek
black
engagement.
people hive mind to control the, what is he doing? It's Obama's fault for Baltimore's crime.
Trump just daily gaslights everybody,
Yeah,
so I don't
totally.
report on his shit. He's just a human waste dump of stupid. A conspiracy theorist as conspiracy theorists compete for attention in the wake of a tragedy, others seek engagement through dubious expertise, juicy speculation, or stolen video clips. The boundary between conspiracy theory and engagement bait is permeable. Unfounded and provoking posts often outpace the trickle of verified information that follows any sort of major breaking news event. Oh, did you hear about the bridge collapse? You know what caused it? It was Or is
I believe
somebody
what
said to
caused it
me,
is a ship
butcher
ramming
him.
into a support pillar. That's what caused it.
Right. Maybe bridges ramming into things, or ships ramming into things is never good. The boundary between conspiracy theory and engagement bait is permeable. Unfounded and provoking posts often outpace the trickle of verified information that follows any sort of major breaking news event. Then, the conspiracy theories become context, and a lot of people marvel and express outrage that they exist. Then they kind of forget about the raging river of bad internet until the next national tragedy. I've seen it so many times. I became a breaking news reporter in 2012, which means that in internet years, I have the experience of it, an almost ancient. In internet terms, I have the experience of an almost ancient entity. The collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge into the Patapsco River, though, felt a little different from most of these moments for me, for two reasons. First, it was happening after big shifts in what the internet, even as Twitter, once a go-to space for following breaking news events, became Elon Musk's own factory for verified accounts with bad ideas, while generative AI tools have superpowered grifters wanting to make plausible text and visual fabrications. And second, I live in Baltimore. People I know commute on that bridge, which forms part of the city's beltway. Some of the workers who fell, now presumed dead, lived in a neighborhood across the park from me. On Tuesday evening, I called Lisa Snowden, the editor-in-chief of the Baltimore Beat, the city's black-owned alt weekly, and an influential presence in Baltimore's still pretty active X community. I wanted to talk about how following breaking news online has changed over time. Snowden was up during the early morning hours when the bridge collapsed. Baltimore's X presence is small enough that journalists like her generally know who the journalists are working in the city, especially those reporting on Baltimore itself. Almost as soon as the news broke about the bridge, though, she saw accounts she's never heard of before, speaking with authority about what had happened, sharing unsourced video and speculating about the cause. Over the next several hours, the misinformation and racism about Baltimore snowballed on X. For Snowden, it felt a bit like an invasion into a community that had so far survived the slow death of what was once Twitter by simply staying out of the spotlight. Baltimore Twitter is usually not as bad, Snowden said. She sticks to the people as she follows. But today I noticed that it was pretty much impossible. It got extremely racist, and I was seeing other folks in Baltimore also being like, this might be what sends me finally off this app. Here are some of the tweets that got the attention the hours after the collapse. Paula, a MAGA influencer with more than 100,000 morons on followers on X, tweeted, Synergy Marine Group, the company that owned the ship in question, promotes DEI in their company. Did anti-white business practices cause the disaster? Wow, that's gotta be it.
Totally.
Wow, there's a cause. That's so obvious. That's so obvious. It wasn't anything else. Alongside a screenshot of a page that company's website that discussed the existence of a diversity inclusion policy. Wow, diversity in the workplace. Ooh, it causes bridge disasters. What kind of stupid people come up with this shit? And who believes it? Who thinks this is actually a thing? I'm just, if I meet somebody like this, they're in danger. They are, because who knows what I'll do. I just don't like stupid people. The tweet got more than 600,000 views. Another far-right influencer speculated that there was some connection between the collapse and, I guess, Barack Obama. I don't know. The tweet got 5 million views as of midday Wednesday. Being online during a tragic event is full of consequential nonsense like this. Ideas and conspiracy theories that are inane enough to fall for the fog of Poe's law, which is one of them internet laws I guess I have to look up now, and yet harmful to actual people and painful to see in particular when it's your community being turned into views. Sure, there are best practices you can follow to try to contribute to a better information ecosystem in these moments. Those practices matter, but for Snowden, the main thing she can do to get her newsroom, as her newsroom gets to work reporting on the impact of the disaster in a community, is to let time march on. In a couple of days, this terrible racist mob or whatever it is going to be on to something else. Baltimore, people are still going to need things. Everybody's still going to be working, so I'm just kind of waiting it out, but it does hurt. So there's your story on Twitter being an absolute disaster of misinformation, like it's always been, by the way. It's just worse now.
Yeah.
And people are trying to say, oh yeah, the good old days. And I'm like, there was never any good old days. You're just pretending there was good old days. Compared to now, yeah. And apparently Poe's law is one of them things where it's really hard to tell if somebody's being sarcastic when they're defending creationists. Right? You don't even know if they're being joking or they're
like,
putting you down because they say
right
something
now?
that's completely stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. All right, that's your story. We'll do the picks before my this day in history.
Okay.
Since they're not that long.
Yeah, these ones we can do both of them, even the women's and the man's. There goes the whiteboard. Okay.
There's only 6 total games left.
There's barely any games. It's the end. I need it. Back. Ugh.
You wrestle that alligator.
It fell again. Okay, it's fine. Flat things that are supposed to be hanging on walls. Oh god. Flat things are supposed to be hanging on walls. Do not. You have to put them flat on their back. Okay, this is just gonna fall on me again.
Yeah, gravity's getting in with you again.
I'm just trying to fix my green screen now because everything's falling down. I should just not use a desk. I should just do everything on the floor because everything on my desk just falls on the floor anyways. So if I just, if I'm just already on the floor, it can't fall off. Okay.
Just sit on the floor.
All right, let's go into our culture segment here with my, now I'm going to be annoyed at my green screen now because this will not work. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Just going to be ignored with that. Ignore that bottom corner now because it's just working. Right, we are going to look at J.K. Rowling, who is also getting very angry about things. Oh, actually, I did want to mention that the bridge stuff is very similar to the train derailment stuff, which is that it happens all the time, very frequently, but nobody reports on it because it happens so frequently. Because now people are like, another bridge collision? Every time it happens. It is a terrorist attack, and it's like, no, it just really happens a lot, more than you think. This one was just special because it was struck by a cargo ship that was way too heavy, but bridges are getting collided with all the time, just by way smaller ships that don't collapse bridges and hit their supports. Okay, so culture news. J.K. Rowling is getting ready to get arrested because of her hate crimes that she's committed, or at least she's professing that she's done hate crimes. I'm just saying, if you're saying you're ready to get arrested for what you said, that means you understand that what you said is hateful and could be construed as a hate crime. That's all I'm saying here, okay? This is from Eunice Culture by David Moore.
Of being arrested.
Yeah.
Not getting arrested. Oh yeah.
You guys are going to say this is a hate crime, which means you admit you think it's a hate crime. The Harry Potter author has dared police to arrest her, while Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has seemingly backed Rowling's views that the Scottish hate crime law changes could threaten free speech. Guess what? Free speech isn't all that great, especially when it causes people to get killed. Scotland's new hate crime law has come in force, and Harry Potter's author J.K. Rowling has some thoughts. Specifically, she's claimed that the legislation could harm free speech, and that she looks forward to being arrested following the hate crime law changes. No, poor free speech, it could get harmed. Oh no, save your free speech. It should not be harmed. Rowling has dared police to arrest her as she expressed her opposition to the new legislation which came into force yesterday, on April 1st, and it wasn't a joke. The Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act 2021 creates a new crime for stirring up hatred relating to age, disability, religion, sexual orientation, transgender identity, and being intersex. We have covered this law before when it first got dropped that it got passed, but I think J.K. Rowling has only gone even harder on her opposition to it ever since its actual pass. A person commits an offense if they communicate material or behave in a manner that a reasonable person would consider to be threatening or abusive. You know, like, let's kill all the transgendered people. Oh god, that's pretty obvious hate crime. With the intention of stirring up hatred based on the protected characteristics. The maximum penalty is prison sentence of 7 years. Law does not protect women as a group from hatred, but the Scottish government is expected to include this later in a separate misogyny law. Rowling, who has long been a critic of some trans activism, decried the new legislation in a very lengthy 11-post thread on Twitter, in which she singled out certain trans women, because punching down is the best way to not be hate criming. I am currently out of the country, but if what I've written here qualifies as an offense under the terms of the new act, I look forward to being arrested when I return to the birthplace of the Scottish Enlightenment, she wrote. She added that freedom of speech and belief are at an end in Scotland, for what she termed the accurate description of biological sex is deemed criminal. Just want to clarify that back in the Scottish Enlightenment, free speech was only for landowners. So, you think everyone was able to speak their mind back in the Scottish Enlightenment? You're on drugs, okay? The only people who have ever had rights for the longest time were people who owned land. They were the only people who could vote. And they were all men, because women weren't allowed to own land either. So, yeah. Let's not do this whole kind of rewriting of the history thing where we think it was all better back then in the Scottish Enlightenment, because I wouldn't be able to say anything. No one would care what I have to say at all. And most people don't own land these days, so most of the population wouldn't be able to say anything or have any opinions. So, if I remember correctly, most millennials are currently renting permanently for the rest of their life. So, house ownership doesn't mean land ownership either. So, the bank only has the rights to vote in the Scottish Enlightenment. I'm not going to share all these anti-trans posts where it's just
everybody owes something. Just
hateful, like, aha, I can tell you're a man. I'm a 12-year-old and I make fun of adults who look obviously like they're being harassed because all the photos she's posting are people just, stop taking photos of me and let me just post it on the internet and talk about how this is obviously a man. This isn't a man. This is a woman. Whatever, who cares?
My favorite internet argument is you're talking about something totally different.
Yeah.
And so they'll pipe in, "What's a woman? Tell us what a woman is." And like, why don't you go? I get in trouble for telling these people to go jump off a bridge or something, Raise the collective intelligence of humanity by eliminating yourself from our gene pool. Thank you very much, because you're not very smart.
Please don't spread your ideas to anyone else like a freaking virus. Rowling added, for several years now, Scottish women have been pressured by their government and members of the police, forced to deny the evidence of their eyes and ears, repudiate biological facts, and embrace a neo-religious concept of gender that is unprovable and untestable. Tell that to every scientist ever. The redefinition of woman to include every man who declares himself one has already had serious consequences for women and girls' rights and safety in Scotland, and one of the strongest impact felt as ever by most vulnerable, including female prisoners and rape survivors. Yes, this idea that trans women are just raping everyone out here, that's what they want to do. You caught their secret plan. That's totally why they're doing it, so that they can just go rape people freely, because women can just rape people all the time. That's what we do, actually. Sorry. Big reveal. The reason women are treated as second-class citizens is that because we're all serial rapists. And that's what happens. The Scottish government
reveals how she thinks about them.
Yeah, that's her opinion. Her opinion is wrong, but it's hers. The Scottish government insists the law provides protection from hate and prejudice without stifling individual expression. I think there has been a lot of misinformation about the legislation, said the Victims of Community Safety Minister Siobhan Brown. That's an Irish name that I'm saying wrong, and I apologize. Before going on to claim inaccurately that it was passed unanimously by MSPs in 2021. Scotland's First Minister Humza Yousaf addressed the disinformation being spread about the bill, claiming there is a triple lock of protection for speech, an explicit clause for free speech, a defense for any accused person actions being reasonable, and the act being compatible with the European Convention on Human Rights. Yousaf added that he is very proud of the new laws, saying they will help protect against a rising tide of hatred. He further insists that he is very confident in Police Scotland's ability to implement the legislation in a way it should. The row over the new legislation has escalated further as Conservative Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has backed J.K. Rowling, saying that people should be criminalized for stating simple facts on biology. Biology is not simple. It's not binary. It's not factual. Biology doesn't give a shit about what you think. Biology will do whatever it wants, okay? There's intersex people living out there where their body was like, yo, let's make testicles, but also you have a vagina. Woo! But biology is factual, you know? Nobody... Yeah. Freaking science and science, okay? I understand that people want to give science this huge podium of everything that matters is on this science podium, okay? But science...
Also, dwarfism doesn't exist. None of that stuff exists. Just perfect people that are perfectly turned out exactly the way you think they are. That's all.
Right? We all come out perfect, no problems ever. No genetic abnormalities, no fifth pinky or something. Yeah, fifth pinky, unlike a second pinky. You know, like people are we're just... In a way, we are miracles that we're here, okay? We're miracles that we made it from the zygote of an egg cell and a sperm cell and going all the way, we're born into a working human. That is very lucky, okay? Everyone should feel very lucky.
Out of all the people that were possibly could be created is in the quadrillions. There are people that could have possibly been created and we got here. Yeah, you're right.
There are so many egg cells out there that just get washed away. So many sperm cells that just get washed away. And you're lucky enough to be here and get born with no complications for the most part. Everyone's born with complications, so acting like biology is this perfect scenario of science. We believe in free speech in this country, and conservatives will always protect it. And just some more trans women hate crime here going on her Twitter that I'm just not going to repeat. If you want to go look at some anti-trans propaganda, check out J.K. Rowling's Twitter, maybe. But I'm telling you, it all doesn't matter. Like, all the stuff she's saying, which I will not repeat, is just dumb and hateful. Rowling, who has faced backlash on a number of remarks which have been perceived as transphobic, was reported to the police last month over accusations of transphobic abuse, after she said the broadcaster India Willoughby, who was mentioned in Rowling's Twitter thread, didn't become a woman and is cosplaying a misogynist male fantasy of what a woman is. Willoughby said Rowling's words were in breach of both the Equality Act and the Gender Recognition Act, and later said on Twitter that it was recorded as a non-crime hate incident. In response, Rowling said that the police are going to be very busy. Good. That's what they're paid for, to be busy. They're not supposed to be sitting around doing nothing.
That's all Twitter's good for, reporting rich people cry.
I'm just like, it's just so weird. All she has to do is shut up. That's all she has to do. She goes on an 11
Sit there and count your money.
She goes on an 11 thread thing about just hating different people who are just living their lives, minding their own business, and she's like, also this person, I hate them because they wear women's underwear. You know, all underwear is the same. I don't know why we gentrified underwear. Who gives a shit?
Wasn't Dumbledore gay? Isn't she mad about that?
I have no idea. It's not in this 11
I mean the actor, I'm just saying.
Thread on hate that I'm reading.
Count your money, lady, and shut up.
Exactly. Okay, so I guess now, from that lovely story, we can move on to our brackets or our finishing guesses on this kind of end of the March Madness for both women's and men's tournaments. Who we think is gonna win? Because we can just say that now too. We can cover our final four and then just say, and I think this person's gonna win at the end of it all. If that sounds good to you.
Yeah, we'll just pick our games and we'll have it. We'll get them wrong like we always have. Like at least my side.
I mean, I think I was calculating again, and I think I got 0 points in the Elite 8 on the men's. So,
we can start with this story. I got a quick story about the women's tournament.
Really? Okay, go ahead.
Iowa LSU is the most watched college basketball game for ESPN ever.
For women?
The women's game.
Yeah.
The Elite 8 contest, which had Caitlin Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes advance past Angel Reese's LSU Tigers, delivered a record 12.3 million viewers. And I can't talk. For the Sports Network on Monday night. It makes it the most watched women's college basketball game on record. In fact, it's ESPN's best audience for a college basketball game, men or women's, ever, and ranks second most watched NCAA tournament game of 2024 so far. Anyway. But you got to remember, the men's tournament is on CBS, which is a broadcast network you don't need to have cable to get, so it's going to reach more people.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's amazing. It's amazing that they got this rating. I mean, anyway. Of course, you can stream
women's sports channel,
now.
Okay?
Plus, you can stream everything now. You don't have to have cable.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
I'm sure there's a bunch of people illegally watching sports games like there always has been.
Oh, yeah. At least the people they can trace. There was 12.3 million of them. Okay. It's a lot easier to account for cable audiences, too, because you can track your little box. And you can't do that with broadcast television. You don't know when they're switching channels. Anyway. Back to the brackets.
Okay.
We doing the women's first or men's first?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
We've been doing men's first, though. So.
Okay, men's first. Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Then
men's
let's look at. Oh, you've got your scoreboard out already.
My elite. You see that big 0 in my Elite 8
there?
Yeah,
I have the same.
Yeah, that's
I
my
have the
men's
same
tournament.
0.
Women's tournament, though. Hey, hello.
I think the women's tournament I got 2 and 2 on both the 16 and the 8.
All right, ready to go.
Okay, so let's go over what's happened for anybody who doesn't watch sports. Originally, we had
16
let's see. We did the 16 and 18 at the same time. So we had our guesses here. My guesses for the 16 were San Diego, Illinois, with Illinois going on to the winning their 8, and then Houston and Marquette winning with Houston going on to the 8, Clemson and Alabama winning with Clemson going on to the Elite 8, and then Gonzaga and Creighton winning their 16 matches going on. Gonzaga
we don't
going
confuse
on to 8.
people with wrong picks, do we?
And none of those were correct. Not a single. Oh, actually, that's not true.
Let's not confuse people with wrong picks.
That's not true. I got Illinois. Illinois was correct, but they lost to UConn in their Elite 8, so I ended up getting 0 points total because I got Illinois winning, and that's the only. Wait, that's not the only one. I got 3 teams winning.
You need to have brackets up to be. This would be useful with brackets up.
I have the brackets right here.
It's just confusing. Yeah. Oh, you do? I can't see them. Okay.
Oh, okay. But
Can the viewers see them?
I had 3 people actually moving on to their Elite 8 matches, which was Illinois and Alabama, and I think was Houston as well. Yeah. So no, not Houston. Oh, Gonzaga. So yeah, so my Illinois, Gonzaga, and Illinois were the only ones that actually won their Sweet 16 that I was correct about, but none of them went to the Elite 8 for me. So my guesses for the Final Four, with the new bracket here, with the actual, we have Alabama and Clemson.
Nope. We got
No,
Alabama,
that's the final.
UConn,
Sorry, that's
we
the
got
final.
NC
The
State
final
and
four
Purdue.
is UConn and Alabama, and NC State versus Purdue. Those are the final four teams in the, I guess, semifinal games. I've decided to go with Alabama. I know they're not going to win, but I don't know. I just don't want UConn to win, but they're going to. I guess.
That doesn't matter. You have no say in it.
I don't know. I'm very impressed. NC State has actually made it to the semifinals here as an 11 seed, but I still think Purdue is going to destroy them. And since Purdue won Gonzaga, and Gonzaga is who I wanted to win, I'm going to say Purdue is going to make it as the champion. They're going to win against Alabama. That's my final prediction here.
I like how you're explaining your picks way more than I'm going to.
That's fine. Go for it.
I know. I'm just saying. It's like, wow, you're going to rationalize these picks. I have no rationalization whatsoever. The NC State 11 seed winning the whole thing would be awesome. So I'm picking them. I'm picking them to beat Purdue, and I'm picking them to beat
rationality.
Alabama.
You're going for the underdog.
Right, because the chalk. Well, I was just saying how NC State has history of doing this. By the way, back in 1983, they were not going to be in the tournament, and Jim Valvano famously was their coach. He's died of cancer, but they weren't going to be in the tournament. But they won the ACC tournament, right? And then they won every game
they might do it.
They won their conference tournament to get into the big tournament, and then they won every game. They're doing the same thing this year.
I mean, they've won most of their games, it looks like, by 10 points. So.
Yeah, a lot of these Purdue's blowing people up, but Alabama, I'll take Alabama over UConn, and of course NC State. Now to the women's.
Okay. In the women's tournament, I had a little bit better luck with my guesses, but not that great. I at least have somebody in the Final Four, because the men's tournament, I have nobody in the Final Four.
We'll total everything up next week.
My brackets here.
We'll total it up.
This is before the article you just read really quickly, but I have South Carolina, NC State in the Final Four, and I have South Carolina winning. And then I have Iowa and UConn, with Iowa winning, and I think Iowa's going to win the entire tournament. So this is before your news about that you just read, that they were being watched most. So I guess everyone else is also hoping Iowa is going to win the entire tournament, because they're getting all the views, right? So everyone's maybe hyped up.
I think it was the matchup from last year's championship that got the views. Not just Caitlin Clark, although she does get views. I don't think the final would be as highly rated, is what I'm saying. Might be, but...
Yeah, I mean, the only selections I got right for the
matchups.
Elite Eight were Iowa, UConn, and that's it. So, just Iowa and UConn were the only ones I got right.
And I've got Iowa winning also, and then South Carolina winning the whole thing. So,
oh, really? So we're on opposite sides, huh?
So I don't think South Carolina's going to lose. They're undefeated. So
yeah.
And Iowa has one player where you can not necessarily neutralize one player, but you can let her get her 40 points, and that's all they get. You get 50 points, and she scored 40 of them, and you won 80-50. There's ways to do that.
The end,
you neutralize everybody else. Yeah. Or you can neutralize her, which might not work, because she's a good distributor. But that's it. That's my picks, and I guess it's time for This Day in History.
Yep.
All right, This Day in History. 1785, Bettina von Arnim, one of the outstanding women writers in modern German literature, was born in Frankfurt am Main. Okay. So 1841, after serving only 1 month, William Henry Harrison became the first U.S. president to die in office. He was succeeded by Vice President John Tyler. Of course, he caught pneumonia because he gave his inauguration address in the cold without a jacket, because he was better than us or something. I don't know what the hell it was supposed to prove, but he died a month later. 1850, with the population totaling 1,600, Los Angeles was incorporated as an American city. Happy birthday to Los Angeles. Los Angeles. 1862, in the American Civil War, Union forces under General George B. McClellan began the unsuccessful Peninsular Campaign to recapture the Confederate capital of Richmond, Virginia. 1913, Muddy Waters, an American blues guitarist and singer who played a major role in creating a modern rhythm and blues and rock and roll, was born. Muddy Waters. 1928, American poet Maya Angelou, perhaps best known for several volumes of autobiography, which explore the themes of economic, racial, and sexual oppression, was born. Happy birthday, Maya Angelou and Muddy Waters. 1949, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, was formed, and the founding member nations of the military alliance being Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, the United Kingdom, and the United States. 1958, the peace symbol, designed by Gerald Holtham, made its first appearance displayed on the signage during the protests staged by the British campaign for nuclear disarmament. In 1959, in West Africa, the Mali Federation, a short-lived union between the autonomous territories of Sudanese Republic and Senegal, led by Leopold Senghor, came into being. 1960, the biblical epic Ben-Hur became the first film to win 11 Academy Awards. It notably received Oscars for Best Picture, Director William Wyler, and lead actor Charlton Heston, who is also in Planet of the Apes. 1969, American surgeon Denton Cooley implanted the first complete artificial heart in a human. Several days later, the patient received a donor heart, but died shortly thereafter. Oh boy, the artificial heart. 1969. 1975, Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded Microsoft, which became the world's largest personal computer software company. 2000, the government of South Korea ordered some 85% of the country's livestock markets closed to an attempt to end an outbreak of foot and mouth disease that had struck Asian livestock. Oof. 2002, after 27 years of fighting, Angolan government and UNITA signed a ceasefire agreement that ended the country's civil war. In 2013, American film critic Roger Ebert, who is perhaps best known for his profession and the first person to receive the Pulitzer Prize for film criticism, died at the age of 70.
Wow.
In 2023, in a Manhattan court, former defendant J. Trump was arraigned on 34 felony charges related to alleged hush money scheme to avoid a sex scandal during the 2016 presidential campaign. He became the first former president in U.S. history to face criminal charges, and that trial is starting this month. Oh yeah. Put that son's in jail. Put him in jail now. He's a criminal. This is where criminals go. They go in jails. This is what we need to teach our children. Break the law, you go to jail. Our time capsule, April 4th, 2000, William C. Stokey Jr., American educator, dies in Chevy Chase, Maryland at the age of 80. This is random events they put up here. It's just mind-boggling. Of course, our featured event today was Martin Luther King being assassinated on April 4th, 1968. Martin Luther King Jr., leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, was in Memphis, Tennessee to support a strike by the city's sanitation workers, was assassinated by James Earl Ray. Our feature biography is Marguerite Duras, French author, born April 4th, 1914 in Gia Dinh, Vietnam, and died in Paris March 3rd, 1996. She was born in Vietnam. That's probably when French were occupying Vietnam, I imagine. Other birthdays today, besides Muddy Waters and Maya Angelou, it's Anthony Perkins' birthday. Old Norman Bates turns 92. Robert Downey Jr., born on this day in 1965. And Heath Ledger, the Joker, born in 1979. And what national day is it? It is National Burrito Day. National Walk Around Things Day. So if you see something, walk around it. I don't know what that means. They're showing a picture of a safety triangle in front of a pile of wood. Okay, so you definitely don't want to walk around a pile of wood. Anyway, you can walk over it, but it might fall.
No.
National Hug a Newsperson Day. It's National Hug a Newsperson Day. Wow, who came up with that one? I'm guessing Sean Hannity or somebody really unpopular. National School Librarian Day. Hug a school librarian. National Chicken Cordon Bleu Day. Tasty. National Vitamin C Day, National Burrito Day, and Jeep 4x4 Day. So there's your days for today, which is April 4th, 2024, on planet Earth, before coffee.
Okay.
The days for today.
This has been Allison here
Get out there
from
and
the
excel.
Netherlands. I hope everyone is doing good. We will see you tomorrow on our Friday news dump. Here is your mic drop moment.
Coochie, coochie man. Everybody knows of you.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.